If you want to grow your development skills as a junior developer, you need to stop writing code and you need to start playing games. Okay, maybe that's not exactly right. You probably do still need to learn to write code and practice writing code. But the reality is that writing code is a very stressful thing, and it takes a lot of thinking, it takes a lot of time, especially when you're learning, and it can become a lot of stress on your brain, on your body physically. I've actually had times where I've been physically stressed out working in this job, and you need to have something that allows you to relieve some of that stress. The best thing that you can do is find something that not only helps you relieve stress, that gives you something fun to do, something that you enjoy doing, but also still helps build some of the skills that are necessary for development. In case you didn't know, I love board games, and so today I'm going to show you 3 board games that I really enjoy that I think every developer should either own or at least play somewhat frequently, because they'll definitely help you think through some of the things that you need to learn and grow in as a developer. Hey Junior Devs, Dev Mentor Dave here, helping you bridge the gap from learning code to launching a successful career. And if you like playing board games, comment below the type of board game that you like, or maybe your favorite board game, or maybe some board games that you think might be helpful for developers in developing their skills. Board games really are superior to other types of entertainment, such as watching videos or even playing video games. Sure, there's lots of things that you can benefit from, hand-eye coordination and things like that with video games, but at the end of the day, board games allow you to step away from technology altogether and really enjoy something a little bit more tactile, a little bit more real than just staring at a computer screen for more hours in the day, just like you were before. So let's dive into the board games that are going to help make you a better developer. Back during World War II, there was a man by the name of Alan Turing, and you might know his name. If you don't, you should go look it up, because he's largely considered one of the fathers of modern computing. He's famous for helping the British Empire break the Enigma code. Now, Enigma was one of those devices created by the Germans to encrypt their messages so that they could send them over the airwaves, over the radio, and they would just seem like gibberish when somebody pulled down the information and tried to translate it. And so Alan Turing came up with a machine that he used to be able to decrypt this Enigma code. And that's where this first game comes from. It's actually called Turing Machine, after Alan Turing. Now, I didn't just pick this game because it's named after one of the fathers of computers. I picked this game because it really is a good help for us to develop some of our problem-solving skills when it comes to being a developer. So if you bear with me just a minute, I'll explain very quickly the details of the game, and then I'll jump into why this is a beneficial game for you. Throughout the game, your goal is to try to figure out what 3-digit number from 111 to 555 is the one that the clues are pointing to. And you're going to start off by just guessing a 3-digit number, and you'll get these little punch cards that you'll put together, and these will be used to help you know whether or not your number is close to, or certain aspects of your number are close to, the correct number. There will be multiple clue cards that will give you different things for you to test. So you'll take the numbers that you're coming up with and you'll run tests against these numbers to determine if these numbers are valid or if they're leading you in the right direction. These tests typically don't just tell you for sure that your number is absolutely right. In fact, oftentimes these tests actually only tell you a little bit of information. So it takes multiple rounds of testing and multiple rounds of guessing and deducing what the correct number is. When you do run a test, you take the testing card and you slide it back behind here, and right there in the middle, you're going to see whether it passed or not. And this one did not pass. So whatever the test was, it's false. So this is what you use to figure out what the correct number is. And the first person to find the number wins the game. So why is it such a great game? Well, there's a lot of logic and deduction. And really, that's one of the biggest parts of our job as developers. We have to think through problems. We have to try to figure out the best solution. Sometimes we end up running the test multiple times because either we forgot what we were testing for or we tested it wrong the first time. So there's lots of different iterations that you'll probably go through as you're playing the game, as you're trying to figure out what the correct number is. And that's a lot like coding. Sometimes we have to go through multiple iterations of a problem before we actually find the right solution to that problem. And so this helps us manage that, helps us learn that process to go back and test and retest our ideas and see what's the best solution for the problem. The next game comes from ancient times in the Arab desert, where merchants would travel back and forth with their goods, trading them and trying to make a profit and selling them back and forth. And one of the big things that they would sell back in the East is spices. And so for this one, we have Century Spice Road. In Century Spice Road, you are a merchant who is traveling around trying to barter and trade spices. The goal is to collect certain spices so that you can collect victory point cards. Century Spice Road is a deck building game where each player is going to accumulate cards that are going to be part of their deck, and they'll either add more cards to their deck or they'll play cards in order to perform certain actions. Generally, the actions that they perform are going to be trying to get some of these spices of multiple colors. We've got green and red and yellow and brown, and those are special spices that can be traded and purchased. So why is this a good game for developers? Well, if you notice on this card right here, you'll see that really what we have here is basically a function. What this is saying is that we're going to trade 2 reds for 1 brown and 2 yellows. So it's kind of like running a function or running a process. And so as you collect all of these different cards, they're going to give you different options. That green from the green screen is not working. Sometimes you'll just get spices, and other times you'll have to actually trade them. But the goal is to kind of build up an engine so that you can play cards that you need in order to manipulate the spices that you have, because you can only have up to 10 spices in your caravan at a time. That method of using these different functions to manipulate data is why I think this is a great game for developers, because really that's what we do a lot of times. We're getting data from databases or from API endpoints from third parties, and we're having to write functions to manipulate that data and change that data and restructure that data and use that data in different ways. And really that's basically what you're doing. You're trying to manipulate the spices that you have in your caravan with these cards, with these functions, and you're doing that to try to get the right spices so that you can purchase the victory points. Okay, there's one more game that I think is really good for developers to play. But before I get there, would you hit the like button so that we can get this video out to more people and share our joy of board games with them, as well as developing. This is being recorded in November of 2023, and really just a couple years ago, we had one of the scarier times in my lifetime as an adult especially, and that was a global pandemic. Everything shut down for weeks on end, and only certain people were even allowed to go to work at some times. A lot of fear, there was a lot of uncertainty, there was a lot of sickness going around during that pandemic. I'll be honest, during that pandemic, I even played this game, which is called Pandemic. Just like in a real pandemic, there are viruses. Well, there's multiple viruses in this pandemic game. In this game, players work as a team to try to squash all the viruses and try to find cures for them. Each player has a specific role, and each role has specific powers or jobs or duties, if you want to call that, and they are supposed to work together to get the job done. So how does this help developers? I think the theme kind of fits right in with what we do a lot of times, unfortunately, which is squashing bugs, or maybe not viruses, but bugs in our code. So there's that aspect of trying to figure out where the bugs are going to come up next and trying to stop them before they happen, or trying to fix them when they already did happen. And sometimes they multiply faster than you can count. And if you're not careful, everybody dies. Well, hopefully in software, nobody dies, but it's very, very similar. We're always constantly working to try to figure out where the bug is, what happened, how can we fix it, how can we prevent it in the future. So there's definitely some correlation there between viruses and bugs. But maybe the most important aspect of this game is the fact that it's a teamwork game. It's called a co-op game. It's a cooperative game. And really the purpose is for you to work together as a team, not with one person telling everybody else what to do, but with each person taking on their specific role and their specific duties and powers and working together with the others to accomplish a common goal. And I think that's something that a lot of times we forget about as developers, because it's easy for us to just get siloed into our own bugs or our own tickets or our own pieces of work, that we forget that we're part of a bigger team. Oftentimes we're part of an actual dev team, but even if not a dev team, we're usually part of a company. We're part of a team all seeking to go after the same thing, and that is success. Co-op games are a great way to remind us what it actually takes to work together well to accomplish the same goal. So those are 3 games that I think are really good for developers, even junior developers, to participate and to enjoy, that will actually help grow your skills as a developer. But if you really want to be a good developer, you need to have one of these 3 really important character flaws. Check out this video to learn more about 3 character flaws that will help you know you're supposed to be a developer. Hey, if you enjoy this content, would you please hit the subscribe button and click the bell icon to be notified the next time I upload a video? Thanks for joining me today, and I'll see you on the next one.